So let's meet our panelist, Samuel Del Real. I think he's moderating this thing, so he will introduce the others. But meanwhile, Samuel is investor, Web3 director, entrepreneur, artist, and business developer with a diverse skill set and a passion for emerging technologies. So, Samuel, here you go.
Well, hello everybody. New York, you guys feeling good? It's been a hell of a week, 3 days of meeting a bunch of our internet friends in IRL. I'm sure many of us are beyond excited for those moments. Today we're going to be talking about a couple things: intersection of music, gaming, and entertainment, and then also increasing revenue streams along those. NFTs, Web3 enable an incredible opportunity for all of us to participate and engage in the internet in a new way. What does that mean? We have an opportunity to, what Tommy and the crew were talking about earlier, to be able to give fans, participants online, a whole new way to access, engage, and interact with our IP. All the things that we do online today, we don't own. We know this now. All the comments, all the likes, all the friends that we acquire on these different platforms, the platforms own. So now we have an opportunity with Web3 to be able to say, cool, music and entertainment is the same thing. You've got some of the most influential individuals in the planet creating IP, content, music, the things that we consume and that make us humans so special, culture, right? Giving access to the artists from emerging markets, giving access to builders and creators a place to actually do something of substance that can transcend time, right? So here we have Mr. Andrew and Alex Salibian. We're missing a couple friends today. Maybe they'll come a little bit later. But nonetheless, I'll give the mic to these guys to introduce themselves and we'll start the conversation. Andrew.
Hello, everyone. Andrew. I've been in the music space, very passionate for over 20 years, and my whole theme for the last 20 years has really been about artist relations and programming strategy. So really helping artists create compelling content for their fans. I was at MTV for over 12 years, curating at Vivo, Universal Music Group. I fell down the rabbit hole of Web3 a couple years ago and realizing it's same rules, different tools. And hearing those early conversations in Clubhouse and the pain points of struggling artists with this dream, which is now a reality of using Web3. So what I try and focus on is really looking at the roadmap of an artist's campaign and figure out certain touch points that their fans can help monetize to increase the revenue streams for that artist whilst creating some unique experiences. So that's what I'm psyched about in Web3.
Thanks, Andrew. That's awesome.
Your best friend at a label is you right there. Getting activations going, helping out, it's everything. So my name is Alex Salibian. I am the COO and co-founder of Navak Collective, which is a record label and artist advocacy collective, super serving women, non-binary, and queer artists from emerging markets. So our main mission here is to tell new stories to prove that talent is equally distributed, but opportunity isn't. It's very much based in the ethos of Web3, but we actually started the company before fully committing and diving into the tool sets available to us in Web3. But our thought is that there is a slew of untapped talent pools out there. We want to be able to go provide equal access to opportunity and create commercial hits without whitewashing the music when we're looking in markets like Armenia, Malawi, Egypt, Ghana, Lebanon. There's so much good music out there, so much good storytelling. So we figured out the educational and artist development model. However, it's not sustainable with the way music is distributed right now. And so our main focus is how do we create a system where we can develop artists without just constantly running everything into the ground. And I'll run through some numbers later in terms of what we see artist development costs to be, what the runway is like, what some of the challenges are, and why many of you know music industry is not developing artists right now. They are signing people who already are taking off on TikTok. They're funneling them into Spotify. They're trying to get on editorial playlists, and then they're rinsing and repeating. And there's no ownership. It's virality based. it leaves a lot out in the world, and that is not the future that we see here with Web3, with direct-to-fan engagement. So yeah, I'm going to touch a little bit upon the numbers, the problem, the actual process of artist development, and then what we see as a solution, and how that can shift over the next 1 to 2 years and 3 to 5 years from there.
So Andrew,
Yes.
you've been in the music industry for a minute. You got yourself into this space, if I'm not mistaken, it's been like 5 years or 4 years?
No, probably late 2020.
Okay, a couple of years. Okay, so being in the music industry, learning what you've learned over the years that you've been participating in this space, and now that you're here in Web3, engaging, interacting, and also building in this music space, what are you seeing are the benefits? Why should anyone care about Web3 and how that works with the music industry?
I mean, I always think about activating from a fan's point of view, and I feel like fans always want access, exclusivity, and to be able to obtain those with ease. So I feel like Web3, now we're in a space where we're like masking the blockchain. You know, last year was a 2.5, the year before was like NFTs, Web3. So now we're like trying to hide that, make things very accessible to fans. We're not here to change the user behavior, we're here to enhance it. So I feel like a lot of the tools that we're building, whether it's token gating or just really tying things together and rewarding fans for being early supporters or of token holders, you can really surprise and delight them. You know, I love creating long-term campaigns with maybe one high activation every quarter, but then how do you feel the engagement from one tempo event to the next? Things could be free, you could engage with discounts, and all of that adds increased revenue to the artist that they wouldn't have got before. You know, having early access to buy a ticket where that person may not have bought a ticket before entices that. Giving someone a 20% discount because they hold a music NFT makes them buy a piece of merch that they may not have wanted to buy before. So, you know, I feel like there's so many different examples and interactions to increase that revenue. And if you have a good experience, you're going to tell a friend. And that's long-term sustainable income is much better than one-off cash grab that really doesn't go anywhere. So
Beautiful. And Alex, you talked about you being where you are today as the CEO of Navat Collective, but what's your background in music? What really drove you to come to where we are today? And then also, more importantly, with the mission of Navat Collective and how we're trying to super serve humans, female, non-binary, LGBTQ artists from emerging markets, how do you see these opportunities for a record label to engage in Web3 and make revenue, what you would say, revenue neutral models, right?
Yeah, so my background is in record production. I've spent the last 10 years producing, songwriting in the studio with the artist, crafting their story, figuring out what we're going to say, why we're going to say it, and getting it out there in a compelling way. And I've had my successes. I've had the hit records, and then I've had dry spells. And I became obsessed with this concept of artist development because it is the most fulfilling thing in music. You find a talented individual that you think is going to be a star. They have drive, talent, vision, and you want to get the best out of them. You want to craft their narrative to the highest degree of quality possible. So when I started digging into that and then tried to convert it into a sustainable business model for a record label, I understood why Spray and Pray, which is a record label signing 40, 50 artists, hoping that one of them is going to recoup the other 90% that fail, is the model, because it's volatile, it's hyper-saturated. There are 100,000 daily uploads to Spotify, and without having something viral, editorial playlisters are not paying attention because they want consumers. So Spotify has shifted from this monetization tool for artists to an exposure tool, meaning, as most of us probably know, the pay-for-play system. For me, like, cool, like, that's their business model. That's what they're trying to do, and we can't be looking at that and you know, just kind of complaining about it. We have to create something better for the artist. And what I've discovered is that if you're going to do this and actually oh, hello. If you're going to do this and actually find stories and tell them and give the artist that care, it takes 3 to 5 years minimum to find a young, talented artist and actually give them the education, the resources, the network, the support, the A&R, the marketing, the promo, all of it. It takes a village to get a star born. For those of you who have seen Star is Born, great movie. So we have found that it's minimum 100,000 all the way up to 250,000 for 2 to 3 years, and then you need another injection of 500 to $1 million, 500,000 to $1 million to then take it further if you're successful. If you're trying to do that and you don't know what you're doing when it comes to A&R marketing, you're probably going to fail 29 times out of 30. And if you're not going to get revenue from Spotify, let's say that artist develops and has 3 million plays on 9 different songs. So it's like 27 million plays on Spotify. That's $120,000. After 3 years of development, you're splitting that with the record label, even if it's a 50-50 deal, 60K. What do you, like, you can't even live in LA. I mean, that's over 3 years. That's nothing. you can't eat. So why would you rely on that in order to develop an artist? And so direct-to-fan engagement, actually building community, 100 fans, 250 fans, 500 fans, 1,000, using these tools that Tommy spoke about, that we've all been kind of harping on, and many of you know, it's born out of necessity at this point because the market has shifted, and it's only going to get worse. AI music is going to just funnel millions of songs into Spotify, which is cool. I don't think that's a bad thing. But if we just sit back and become complacent with all of that that's happening and we don't innovate in order to adjust and evolve with it, then a lot of us are going to be left behind. And I think that's just, it's necessary to think differently, come up with solutions, work with what's happening with technology instead of fighting against it, and use that to our advantage as creators.
100%. Appreciate that, Alex. Ian, how are you, sir? You're coming
How's it
from the movie side of things as well, and some of the similar issues that we have in music also reside in the movie industry as well. Talk a little bit about yourself, Ian, Greenlit. Tell us about what's going on there and how, of course, NFTs, Web3 are increasing revenue streams for the movie industry.
Yeah, no, we see it all the time as a filmmaker, producer, and just across the board through entertainment. The lack of the ability to manage and have insights to who has access to monetize your IP, whether it is a film, short film, a play, or anything like that. um, there's no real data points that can allow you that insight and data and that clarity. And so through Greenlit, what we do is pretty much give you a all-in-one place to manage your rights, who has access, and where revenue is coming in from. So, uploading your media, managing, the single source of truth for that IP, as well as, combating against copyrights, bootlegs, and just the digital rights piracy nature of entertainment. And I think prior to this, there was really no, prior to blockchain, prior to emerging technologies, there were not many solutions that were geared and tailored towards entertainment to have the ability to give you access to cross-border transactions, global kind of marketplace infrastructure, to ability to track both in metaversal environments as well as in real life environments, on a global scale. And that's kind of one of the problems we're solving, is that inability to access content from a global marketplace standpoint.
Love it.
Just want to say one thing to that point and how valuable it is. Like, the technology is new in terms of taking in this much information, this much data, and organizing it. And something that we're trying to problem solve, and we're also doing with the Token Tracks team, is like, how do you safely take this data, all of the fan engagement behavior across film, music, gaming, whether it's in game or out of game, you take that and then you have to funnel it to a dynamic NFT and decentralize it, and make sure that the fans own that data themselves. And it's complicated, because if you're dealing with multimedia, if you're dealing with games and movies and music, it's a lot of IP, it's a lot of information moving around, and that has only been made possible in recent years to do that safely, securely, and effectively, where people are actually retaining ownership as their work is consumed and reconsumed and diverted into multiple different remixes and stem packs and all of that. So the tech build underneath the outward facing artist has a story to tell. We're doing kind of like what Netflix has honestly done, is go and bring new stories into the commercial mainstream. It's really, really exciting how quickly that technology is evolving. And like, I mean, last year, even when we're talking about custodial wallets, or which does, as you pointed out, does go kind of against the grain here, but still there are some onboarding technologies that are coming to every couple weeks. So it brings a lot of opportunity.
So, a couple things. Andrew, you talk a little bit about, and you've been saying this a little bit about how this technology, how can we mask, what we're actually talking about and enable the masses to come into play, right? And that's going to transition into a little bit about what you're up to with Navok, Alex, and the gaming side of things. But tell us a little bit about what you see and what you've been experiencing and where you think we can go.
Yeah, I mean, it still relates to not changing user behavior, but enhancing it. You've got Spotify, 10% of those global streams are fraud. Those are hacked and bought, and a lot of fans don't care, don't really know about it, but it does affect the artist. And as you mentioned, Alex, to get to that million streams for about $4,000 would end up costing you six figures to actually get there, and a lot of touring, and 1 gig could cost you $1,000 or whatever. So having, and something Tommy referred to, if you can create an experience that you can go to a Coldplay concert, have access to the front row, get picked up in a BMW, have a swag bag, get whitelisted for life, having bought that early NFT to get those experiences is insane. And the user probably has no idea that it's run on blockchain tech, that there is a digital asset sitting on a blockchain, or they might, but having a custodial kind of entrance with fiat kind of breaks that barrier. And the fan has the option to engage with crypto and a MetaMask or not. So I see a lot of platforms that are really mimicking user behavior. Streaming platforms like Legend really looks like Apple had a baby with Spotify, and it's the same streaming mentality for fans, but with that collectability and ownership.
Experiences, NFTs, gaming.
Yes. So in order for all of this to take place, there needs to be a space for it to incubate. So what we're talking about here is music, film, and gaming, and many people do see the future of those intersecting in a very, very valuable way. So what we've done at Navok is we've created what we call a music video game, which is a music video and a video game combined. It's taking the story of a song, it's amplifying it, increasing that emotional connection between the artist and the fan, but making it interactive and dynamic. So as you move through the game, you're consuming the story, and you're working through activations, and every behavior in the game is tracked and you're given status for that. It, in terms of like the benefits and going to the show and getting the merch, swag bag, and all of that, it all stems from that, and it's this fluid relationship between digital and physical that we're going to see unfold. What our belief, though, is if we're trying to cross boundaries and work, especially when it comes to monetizing across borders, it's super important that there is a compelling digital space for which all of this can take place in and live. Yeah, and something that's easy, where my father and my niece can get in there, they play, they know what's going on, they're not confused, they understand that they're having an experience and there's going to be value. It's nothing new. It's Delta Sky Miles, it's a fan club, and it's content, and we're just combining that, but we can do so for the first time with safety, with efficiency, in a really, really exciting way.
Ian.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a lot of points, and one of the things around like safety and security around just content and like protecting that and that integrity of storing content in a decentralized manner where you can now authenticate access and you know the ability to access, leverage it through this technology, right? Whether it is an NFT, whether it's a DRM or anything of that nature. And to your point, right? It is something new that it's the same kind of ethos and kind of concept that we're all prone to, but it enables this new era where now this IP doesn't die when you know it's locked up in this estate and they don't know how to leverage it, right? Or it's Biggie and they don't know kind of how to increase the new avenues of streams that they can make from the music. And I think when you're able to have a rights management platform, whether it's clearance or titles or anything that nature, right, it makes it easier across the board, right? Everyone can leverage and use that IP and it doesn't have to stay kind of hidden in this closed chess box.
And then we have I mean, we got a guy from space, alien guy over here, artist from the metaverse, Mr. Jack Frost. Tell us a little bit about, you got a minute and 30 seconds. Come in hot, baby.
I'm coming in hot. Hey, everybody. Let's see if we can get this mic up my helmet. It's really nice to meet you. I'm Jack Frost. I'm an alien DJ from a distant planet. I do absolutely massive and amazing metaverse concerts on a regular basis. I've been performing in the metaverse since November of 2021, which in Web3 years is quite a long time. And I'm really excited to be here on this panel. I'm the CEO of Jack Frost Labs. We're a metaverse entertainment company. And we build communities of Web3, sell music NFTs, and entertain people in the metaverse. So yeah, nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me. And sorry I was a little bit late. Came in from outer space.
Not a problem. We're happy to have you here, man. Thanks so much. And honestly, this at the end of the day, guys, with the last minute and 30 seconds that we have, this world that we're building in is meant to enable a level of wonder and experimentation and trying things and pushing the boundaries of what does it mean to consume music. We know that we're headed towards a world where autonomy is going to be very prevalent. We know that we're headed towards a world where how we consume music may change because of vehicles that we're transporting in, or the ability to kind of like engage, as Alex is kind of alluding to, with music video games. This is a fairly new concept, but nonetheless, it's an exciting time to be alive. The future is very bright. Music couldn't look any more exciting today than it ever, I think, has ever. I mean, we've got an alien from outer space coming in, playing in, metaverse gigs in front of thousands of people. We got a gentleman that's in the music or movie industry that's trying to change and innovate how IP and those individuals in the movie industry change or make money. We've got an individual over here creating a new form of a record label to interact with artists from emerging markets and creating music video games. And we have an innovator that's been building in Web3 for the last few years and in the music industry to understand that there is a conduit here.
Yeah, I would just add, I hope the time comes where we don't reference music as a Web3 or a Web3 artist, and we just embrace a new format, and this is just releasing music, and this is the tech that powers it. So I hope when we're back here next year, Web3 is kind of like one of those old words, and this is just another format that we embrace.
NFT.NYC, thank you guys so very much for having us. Please tap in with Andrew, Alex, Ian, and Jack.